Welcome to the Prep Huddle podcast. K.J. Pilcher alongside Jeff Linder. Jeff Johnson join us soon as well. Week 8 is upon us. Some of the field has been decided, right, Jeff, that the smaller classes this is their last regular season game before things get started?
Yeah, we've got, I would say, probably 70 to 80% of the 2A on down playoff teams have been decided. Just a few left to do, and just a few of the 3A, 4A, 5A, and a lot more of that will be decided this week. And playoffs start next week for the smaller schools, and 2 weeks in 3A, 4A, 5A.
Last week, there were some interesting results. Anything really stand out to you as far as kind of eye openers with the scores or wins and losses?
Last week's been so long ago. Let's see. Nothing really stands out. How about you? What really what really got your attention?
Well, I think mainly because I was there. The Prairie Southeast Polk score and the way that really turned out or played out. Southeast Polk kind of surviving with a 21-20 victory. That game certainly was a winnable game for Prairie, and that we talked about the Linmark Southeast Polk game maybe being a little bit of a barometer of Eastern Iowa teams. I think this one was even more so. That was a game. Prairie missed an extra point. They lined up for a field goal late. They got blocked in the last few seconds. That would have been a go-ahead score. So they were right there. They had every chance to come away with a victory. And I think that says a lot about especially these three teams in the Metro with Prairie, Lamar, and Kennedy, of course. The other one too was Pleasant Valley.
That one actually came to my mind after I said I didn't have a clue here a couple minutes ago. That one was a surprise. The way City High had been playing really well, both sides of the ball, especially defensively. To go over to get beat by a rejuvenated PV squad, that surprised me a little bit.
Things that I really don't know how to classify them a little bit, but one thing I think this week that just kind of boy, Lisbon, still continues to play well. It might be the quietest team that's kind of up there in the rankings. We really haven't talked too much about it, but boy, just week in and week out, they've done very well.
And I think a lot of that's because they lost their opener. I wouldn't say they fell off the map by any means. I mean, they lost their opener to West Branch. They start 0-1, and here comes North Lynn, and they kind of become the sexy Class A team around here with the way they've been shutting people out. But Lisbon's had a really solid season. They're 6-1. They're district champion, and they'll be a tough out. And I fully think that maybe Lisbon and North Lynn will hook up in maybe a quarterfinal or a round of 16 game.
Yeah, staying in that class, and speaking of shutouts, East Buchanan with another shutout. They won 30-0. They're 6-1, and I think their only loss was to Northland early in September. And
Right.
The Buccaneers have a strong defense. I know they've been kind of ball hawks, I guess, on that side of the ball a little bit. A lot of turnovers. But East Buchanan, that class here in the area, very strong with Lisbon, Northland, East Buck.
I think that district that Northland and East Buchanan is pretty darn good. That second tier of teams, Starmont, Southwind, Bellevue, Clayton Ridge. I think that's a pretty good middle of the pack compared to a lot of the districts in Class A.
In the metro, we mentioned Prairie with the close loss to Southeast Polk. I believe Lidmar won big. What do you think about the way Lidmar kind of came out last week?
Nice win. They're kind of like we talked about. They and City High are a lot alike, and really have made a lot of progress this year from last. Winning. I think Lidmar was 1-5 last year. Now they're 6-1. This has not been a good defensive team for the last few years. This year it is, and they're for what they lost, both by graduation and by transfer. Lidmar's having a really, really nice season.
Were you at Clear Creek Amana Xavier?
Yeah.
Last week. Tell me a little bit about how that, because Clear Creek had done pretty well, a lot of one-run victories, but
this wasn't going to be a one-point game. The way
really
Xavier, you talk about ball hogs. They were. They had 3 scoring drives of double-digit plays. I think Clear Creek had the ball for 4.5 minutes in the first half was all. So, that's what that's how Xavier was able to really get out in front. And we're going to welcome JJ. KJ had to take a quick time out to take a phone call for another beat. But JJ, how you doing?
I'm all right, Lindy. How are you? I hear
I'm
you're in the Heisman conversation this year.
Yeah, what's that all about?
You got my vote, buddy. You got my vote. So,
where were you Friday, and what did you come away with?
Regina, and I was at Regina, Iowa City, Regina, for the tire iron game, so to speak. The
No,
rivalry.
you were there for the popcorn.
That was the only reason I was there, and it was excellent. So kudos, Regina concessionaires. So, Regina with the win over West Branch. It was, really pretty convincing. All 8 West Branch points came defensively on Regina Miscue's airmailed snap on the first play of the game that the Wild scramble for it, and ball went 30 some yards into the back of the end zone for a safety, and then a fumble and a scoop and score. But other than that, Regina looked really good, and it didn't look really good defensively. It didn't, made some mistakes offensively, and quite frankly, Jeff, that was what Coach Jason Dumont kind of pointed out when I asked him about, they've only played 5 games now, I guess. Because they had the 2 forfeit wins because of COVID from opponents. So he's like, defensively you can make it work, but when you're not playing every week and they've had kind of a game, no game type of a deal, he says that really kind of stunts your growth offensively. So, and they don't really have a whole lot of time, I guess. One more week to get all that figured out. So
I think they have Durant, which is not a bad team. I think Durant put it to Mediapolis last week, and they played Wilton close. So, I think that those three teams are kind of fighting for the 3, 4, and 5 spots in that district. So I don't think Durant's a bad club.
No, not at all. And I think they have if I saw right, a really, really good running back.
DeLong, I think.
Yeah, who's had a great career there. So, it won't be terribly easy for Regina. I certainly expect the Regals to win. And, like you said, I think Durant gets in, West Branch gets in too. And, Coach Peterson, kind of played the underdog card with his club and said nobody really has given us any respect and all that kind of stuff.
Before.
Yeah. So he's, he likes his team and kind of laying under the radar here, and a lot of young starters. So should be pretty good again next year, which you expect from a West Branch team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was at the MEC volleyball tournament on Tuesday and got chatting with a couple ADs and coaches and stuff. And we were kind of talking about the 5A playoffs, and it's going to get it. We're still a couple weeks away from having a field there, but there's not going to be an easy first round game for anybody. If you're one of those top 4 seeds, how would you like to see a Dowling or a Centennial or maybe a Waukee Northwest in the first round?
That's all right though, right? You don't want to walk over. I mean, you want the best teams and you want good games in the playoffs. So I don't mind that at all. Personally, from a fan perspective, right? So
right.
And I don't know how much you talked about it, but I think it's safe to say now, and we've talked about it all season, Jeff, that I think Eastern Iowa maybe this season is kind of caught up a little bit to the powers, the Des Moines suburban powers. Just looking at the results of all the games and the records and things like that. And
like KJ was saying, Prairie's close loss to Southeast Polk said a lot.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. City High beat Dowling, as we've mentioned before, and so we'll see.
I think Cedar Falls beat Centennial.
Yeah. Kennedy, I think, has Johnston this week, and Johnston's without its really good quarterback, so they're kind of down, but still, Kennedy can score maybe a couple more points for the eastern side. So, the proof will obviously, as come in the playoffs, and we'll see how all that shakes out. But yeah, I mean, I don't. This is wide open to me in 5A, and I can make a case for, City High in no particular order. Kennedy, City High, Prairie's, I think, a legit team as well. Not quite as sure about Cedar Falls, quarterback, Hunter Jacobson being out, but still a very capable ball club. And so, and look at Pleasant Valley, right? Pleasant Valley seems to have everything straightened out with, that really huge win last week over City High. So it's good.
Yeah, and you didn't mention Linmar, and
that's right. Sorry, Tim Lovell and Linmar.
So, but yeah, and KJ and I talked a little bit about them earlier already too. So, they're sitting 6-1, and they're one of those teams that's kind of on the bubble of maybe hosting one game. I think a lot would have to break right for them to host 2, but it's, if they would get a win over Prairie, that's not out of the question. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's been a nice Renaissance season for schools like Linmar and City High for sure. Yeah.
I spoke with Tom Keating on Tuesday as well. He was over at the volleyball tournament also, and so what's going to happen this week and probably next week as well is the playoffs. First round playoff matchups will be determined Saturday. So don't stay up all night Friday. That'd be foolish. So go to bed. Playoff matchup should be available Saturday morning. Worst case scenario, Saturday around noon. There are not going to be brackets. They're going to put out matchups. I think the ones will play the 4s and so on and so forth. I think they're going to try to get inter-district matchups. So like A1 will play B4, something like that. And there won't be brackets. They'll redraw each round, it sounds like, until they will see the Final Four once they get to the Dome.
How do you like that?
I like brackets. It's weird because nobody really knew how this was going to work until, until this coming Saturday. But, I think we kind of have a little bit of knowledge now. I would have liked to have seen 4 brackets of 4 or 4 of 8, depending on how many teams are in the playoffs. But this is the way they're doing it this year. Maybe they'll change it a little next year, and we'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure the coaches would like to have that. As much as they focus on one game at a time, I know they want to know, what lies ahead. At the same point, I mean, they can get taped just like that, right? So
yeah,
preparation for the next opponent.
Keating was saying that Indiana has they just draw teams out of the hat.
Really?
Starting, and I don't know if they build a bracket that way or they do it every round, but they don't seed it or anything. They just pull teams out of the hat.
I don't like that. That's way too much luck involved there with that stuff. So, man, them darn Hoosiers anyway.
So, anything else really strike a chord with you last week as far as anything out in the area?
Just little things here and there. I look at some of the smaller schools. What do you think? Like a Sigurd and Kyoto, we haven't really talked about much, but I think that's a state championship caliber, maybe type ball club. They're a tough class, obviously, but
it's a dome-worthy team. It's a team that could get to the semis. I don't know if it's a championship team, but I think it's definitely a team that could be playing in Cedar Falls in November.
And how strange was it that they threw for over 200 yards last week?
It's pretty strange.
Talked to Coach Jensen. He's like, hey, there's nothing wrong with putting a little something extra on tape for half opponents to have to worry about a little bit. So, it's interesting how I think we've seen now. Don Bosco's back in the 8-man picture, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. They're up 20 on Gladbrook-Rhinebeck. I think midway through the fourth quarter, Gladbrook-Rhinebeck scored a couple late touchdowns. Didn't get the ball back again, but they won that one 42-36. Don Bosco did, and them and kind of the same thing with Fremont Mills. You just can't bury them, can you?
No, and Dowling. Look at what Dowling's really. As we talked about Dowling, they righted the ship too, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think that is this Valley Dowling week. I think it is.
Yeah, I believe so. So that'll be a lot of fun. Always a great game. Always a great game. So I'm looking forward to that Senior and Pleasant Valley game tomorrow night.
Yeah. Seniors kind of flown under the radar. They're 5-2, playing really well. They gave Kennedy everything they wanted, and like we said, Pleasant Valley's really starting to come on. So that's a really intriguing game.
So have you figured out exactly how many clubs are in, or how many spots are available, Jeff? Probably not too many left available, huh?
We had that in with the standings last week. We do have a playoff primer that's online right now. The small schools went in the paper today. The big schools will be published tomorrow's paper. So as far as the small schools, KJ and I were talking about this a little bit as well. I'd say probably 70 to 80% of the spots have been filled.
Did you talk about the big matchups this week? What do you think of Indy and West Delaware, Jeff?
I think that's the biggest game in the area. Two really good running backs with a Beatty kid from Independence and Volker from West Delaware. I think that's kind of the area game that we've been looking forward to since the schedules came out in April. And Both teams have certainly lived up to expectations. Independence is undefeated. West Delaware is, all they've suffered is a 2-point loss to Xavier, which looks better and better by the week. So, it's funny. It's a game that means everything, but it's a game that really down the road doesn't mean that much. I mean, they're both going to get into the playoffs. The winner will have an easier road for sure. And, I'd say it's for district title and it's for Highway 20 bragging rights.
How about what else should we hit on here? Anything? I guess one team that has surprised me, and tell me if you agree or not, is Benton Community. Yeah.
They're 6-1. I really thought Assumption was head and shoulders that the best team in that district coming in, and maybe Mount Vernon a close second, and Benton maybe third. But Benton's kind of run away with that now. They really handled Assumption last week. I think they out physicaled Assumption from what I've heard. And boy, they're sitting really good right now.
Yeah, that is a surprising team that we probably haven't talked enough about, Jeff. And I saw Assumption a couple weeks ago, and I thought Assumption looked outstanding. Kind of took apart Mount Vernon, and again from a physical standpoint. So if you're out physicaling a physical team, like Benton apparently did last week, that's really saying something. So hats off to Jeff Zittergren. And we've obviously written and talked about some things physically and health wise that he's overcome. Great guy, and doing just a tremendous job with the Bobcats.
Mm-hmm. I'm just kind of going through the playoff scenarios here. Another big one, Class A, Belle Plaine, hosts Linville Sully. They're both 6-1 overall, 5-0 in the district. The winner of that one, obviously, is the district champ. Easton Valley and Lansing Key. They play Friday night in an 8-player game at Lansing. We'll see if Key High can slow down that Easton Valley attack that scores a lot of points.
And that was a nice win. I don't know if we talked about it. Montezuma had a close game last week against was unbeaten Baxter.
Yeah.
That was probably a nice playoff primer for the Braves, right?
Yeah. And I would guess more than anything, I was surprised that Montezuma was able to hold Baxter to 24 points. That's a really nice defensive effort in 8-player football.
Yep. And
KJ's back.
Okay. Hey, Pilch.
What's up, JJ? How are you?
I'm dandy. Dandy. Happy anniversary, brother.
Thank you. Sorry about having to step away, but had an opportunity to talk to former Mount Vernon Prep Jack Cochran, linebacker, captain at University of South Dakota. They're 4-2 so far this season. Just knocked off a ranked North Dakota team and come into Cedar Falls to face UNI, who's ranked 16th, I believe. Cochran, all-stater for the Mustangs, and is a semifinalist for, I believe it's called the Campbell Trophy, that goes to a linebacker that excels on the field and in the classroom. 4.0 student, I believe, and he's the leading tackler linebacker for USC. So he's had a special season, and boy, tying it in reps, how special were those Mount Vernon teams when you think about the talent that was on there? Connor Herman, I believe, graduated from USD after a strong career there with the Coyotes. Cochran, Tristan Wirfs, which, goes without saying what he's accomplished collegiately and now in the NFL. Drew Adams. I mean, those Mustang teams were pretty special.
Yeah.
What was that? Wirfs? Wirfs, you said? I'm not familiar with that name.
Might have to Google it.
Okay, I'll Google that. I appreciate that. I'll do that.
Where's everybody going to be this week?
I get the privilege of heading up to Independence for what might be one of the best games in the entire regular season. At least it has the makings to be with West Delaware and Independence. I think you can correct me. I think West Delaware is ranked 3rd, Independence 5th or 6th in our rankings. Two schools, two programs that have a good rivalry. In different sports. So this should be fun. I'm excited to see the Mustang, the horse escort.
Oh, that's right.
The Independent, one of the coolest pregame things I think I've ever seen.
And a really, really good marching band.
Yeah. Yep.
They have the lights, and that's really cool.
Yep. And all of that in a game that just should be as fun as the pregame stuff. And the matchup really looking forward to there is Marcus Beatty for Independence. The kind of the all-world running back there, and Wyatt Volker, two really standout players. It'll be interesting to see if they maybe treat the Volker as a little bit of a monster back, just following Beatty wherever he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if they take that little bit of a approach defensively for West Delaware, but should be fun up in Independence.
I'm going to be, where am I going to be? Liberty, to see if the Lightning can finish off this, this extreme turnaround where they lose they lost their first 5 games, right?
Yeah.
And now have won, 2 in a row and have an opportunity, this week to further cement. I guess we can't call it unlikely playoff berth, right? Well, maybe it is. I don't know.
Did you say they won 2 straight?
Let's see. I'm trying to do my math here. 2 straight, and Burlington up next tomorrow night.
So Lightning did strike twice.
It did. Very good. He went there, Jeff. He went there.
All right.
Low-hanging fruit.
So that's where I'll be.
I'll be at Kingston for Kenny and Johnston. Kenny, the last unbeaten in Class 5A. Johnston, a very dangerous 3-4.
I'm not sure if you covered it before, and if you did, that's fine. But the RPI for the 5A teams in the area, did you mention just kind of how that might shake out with Kennedy, City High, Linn-Mar, Prairie, assuming they all went out?
Yeah. Well, Linn-Mar and Prairie play in week 9.
Okay.
So that's going to play a big factor. Right now, Kennedy's number 3 in 5A in the RPI. If they win out, that's probably about where they'll finish. Valley and Dowling still play, so that's a biggie. Does Urbandale have another big one? I don't know. I'll have to look at their schedule. But I would say Kennedy, if they win out, they will and definitely should host the first 2 games. Prairie is sitting 5, Linn-Mar 7, City 8. So I would say the Prairie Linn-Mar winner has a chance to be in that top 4. City High probably would have to get some breaks along the way and would have to win its last 2. But all 4 of those are in line to host at least 1 game in what would be week 10.
Urbandale finishes with Waukee and Waukee Northwest in that order, both at home.
Okay, and the Northwest game will be a big challenge for them.
Yep, for sure.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, unless anybody has any parting words, we'll call it a day.
I will let KJ, as always, take us out here, or unless Hercules wants to do it once.
I think we're okay. But thanks for watching, everybody, and keep your head on a swivel.